Excellencies, Spectabile Sanchez Serrando, dear mayor colleagues from Europe. First of all, I want to thank the Academy for organizing this summit. I want to thank all my colleagues that spoke today, up to now, and those that will speak after me. We all see that we are not alone with our opinion and attitude. And attitude is asked. When I was elected Lord Mayor of Würzburg in 2014, the refugee topic was not yet a major topic on the local agenda in our region. I have learned during the last 2 years that the word of us mayors is important. When a colleague announces in the radio that in this or that quarter of his town there's due to the existing social problems no further room for giving shelter to refugees in a gym hall, it's no wonder that a fire is set to the gym hall the following night. Words can set fire. I have learned that we mayors are responsible for the peace in our towns. Our word has weight and importance. What worries us is the mood in our local societies. In the last elections in the federal state of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, the extreme nationalist parties have been extremely successful. There are only 6,000 refugees in that area. On the other hand, in those cities of Lower Saxonia with the highest proportion of immigrants, the success of these parties was very poor. Conclusion: people who live in a multi-ethnic environment have less prejudices and less fear. Therefore, we have to think about the ability and the will of our people to integrate. The will depends on the personal perception. I think of school classes with only 1 or 2 original German pupils. That's difficult for parents and a challenge for kids. And I do not want that parents who can afford it send their children to private schools. There are quarters in our towns where people say they do not they feel like strangers in their own country. That's a problem. Würzburg is a town in Germany with the youngest population due to its universities with 37,000 students. We have 125,000 inhabitants without suburbia. I quote myself in front of my city council, if not in Würzburg, where shall we be successful with integration? We've got an unemployment rate of 3%. But people are scared when in a peaceful midsummer night a 17-year-old boy runs through a train in our town armed with an axe and hurts severely tourists from Asia and even a female employee of my administration working for and with refugees. What an irony of fate. The terrorist underage boy was looked after well, kept in a German host family, not in a tent, not in a mass accommodation. I was on the ground where he died that very night. I felt sad and full of sorrow. 125,000 people, 3,000 refugees and about 2,000 volunteers giving language classes, cooking with the refugees, doing all kinds of social work. The people say being a refugee helper gives a new meaning to their life, to a life of no real worries, helping personally and not only by donating money. For example, what I have here is a card for refugee helpers. They send care packages to Greece, about 3,000 with toys, love boxes it's called, and they are distributed by volunteers in Greece, German volunteers in Greece. The church, our Bishop Friedhelm, the monasteries help. After 15 months, many of our refugees have learned good German, go to school or in promising work programs. But on the other hand, people are also scared. We know as politicians what is right in and for our towns. I myself, I'm a descendant of a refugee family. My parents escaped from Königsberg, East Prussia in 1945. My mother was interned in Denmark between her 10th and 14th year of life until 1949. But even she, now in her mid-80s, with a personal experience in her CV, says that there's a difference between integrating 12 million people from eastern parts of Germany after World War II and 2 million nowadays. That's the language and the cultural heritage. If we want to help more refugees today, which is even from the economic point of view very reasonable due to low birth rates and in a situation in which the enterprises search labor force, we must ensure proof that we integrate them successfully. We are good in that, but interference by terrorists with axes or driving trucks through a crowd of people undermine our efforts. No mayor in Germany calls for refugees, but we have to cope with the situation and its consequences. And there's no alternative. We have to be successful. Germany has made its experience in the middle of the 20th century. The hometown of my parents was erased on the 29th of August 1944. Würzburg was wiped out within 20 minutes on the 16th of March 1945. More than 90% of its buildings were destroyed, countless victims. I know why we give shelter to people from Syria, from Aleppo. But people in Germany with a remembrance of this time after World War II die out. Many people do not know nowadays that the Europe of de Gaulle and Adenauer was primarily a peace project. Adenauer was a former mayor of the city of Cologne. Perhaps we, the mayors of Europe, have to offer a new life, a new spirit to the people. The spirit of an open-minded, progressive urban society and not of backward-looking nationalist odor. The spirit of the people living in our young European cities. The spirit of tolerant humanity and freedom. I want to work on that. It's worth it. Let's raise our voice. Words can set fire, but they can also set peace directly. Thank you very much.